May I have your attention, please? The attention of the class. Thank you very much. Please take a seat, if you would, please. Disclaimer to the people on this side of the room. We are recording. If that's problematic for you, if you got warrants or something, move to this side. Okay? Talk louder. All right. Thank you for the feedback. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this month's Minnesota Real Estate Club meetup. Our guest tonight is someone who played a big role in my own entrepreneurial journey. Goran Vejzovic was actually the spark that got me to start my very first company. I met him actually through Kyle here. He was the introductor, so if you need some good luck, if you're single or something, go see him. When I met
business
him,
introductions.
Yeah. I'm sorry, if you're looking for a partner in business, perhaps.
Right.
So when I met Goran, he owned a couple of rentals. He was hustling electronics, buying stuff off of like Alibaba in China, hustling, doing weird shit that's probably not even legal.
Original drop shipper.
Yep, original drop shipper. No one knows the full story of all the things he was into, but when I met him, I knew when we first started talking, it was like there was sparks there, and I remember I told my future ex-wife at the time, I was like, the man I met tonight, I'm gonna make a ton of money with. This is gonna be fucking awesome. So over the years, I've watched Goran evolve from a hustler to a multi-business operator. And so today he's involved in MVK Capital, where he leads a real estate syndication group. They invest in commercial assets. He also has a transportation and logistics company that's growing fast. And personally, my favorite business is he's a partner in Tono's Pizzeria and Cheesesteaks, which is, in my opinion, the best pizza in town here. We were giving away free pizza gift cards for new members. Thank you. And he's a refugee from Bosnia, and he's proof that if you're sharp, relentless, and willing to take risks, you can go from having a bunch of side hustles to multi-industry business ownership. So let's get into it, all right?
All right. Well, thanks. Geez, that was wow. Thank you. That's a crazy intro, man. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I'll pay you later for that.
All right, thank you. So when did you realize you were wired to be an entrepreneur? Was it a moment or more of a mindset that developed over time?
You know what? I think it was a moment. And if you want to go way back, at 9 years old, I was a refugee escaping a war in Bosnia. I don't know if you guys know where that is, but it's in Eastern Europe. It's a great spot to be now, actually. But anyways, as my family was escaping a war and we were, dodging missiles and bullets, I was like, wow, I could die, and that kind of lit a spark in me at that time. I was like, you know what? If we were able to get out of there alive, I could pretty much do anything. So at that moment, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do anything and everything, and just make it a go of it in life. I didn't really focus on any one profession. I never really wanted to be like a fireman. I never wanted to be a police officer. I really just wanted to, be a hustler. Just do whatever interests me. So I didn't know what that was at the time, but really my first hustle, if you will, when I was in Croatia. Me and my mom and my sister at the time, I was actually picking olives from trees, and I was pickling them, and I was selling them on the side of the road to make some money. So that was my very first hustle.
Wonderful. And Goran, by the way, has been a hustler since a young child. So he was the person I asked to be the godfather to my son, Marcos. And he's also a little entrepreneur hustler in the making, selling candy at school and shit like that.
Absolutely.
So what would you consider your first real hustle, and what was the lesson that you think stuck with you from it?
I think my first hustle is really when I was importing a lot of, I don't know if you guys remember, Bowflex they still have them, the adjustable dumbbells. And basically I got in contact, I forgot how, I want to say somewhere online, but a factory in China. This was, back in,
late 2000s.
No, actually it was early 2000s.
Okay.
So basically, we were able to communicate, his broken English and my broken English, to figure out a way to start importing Bowflex weights. Whether or not that was legal, I'm gonna leave that up to your imagination.
Slight copyright infringement, maybe.
Right, but again, and I was, I don't know, like 17, 18 at the time. So I gathered up all my money. I think it was like maybe 10K at the time, and I basically threw it all in to get this entire shipping container from China into Port of California, and then have it trucked over to my parents' house, and then single-handedly unloaded that said truck with all those weights into my garage, where obviously my parents were like, hey, what the hell are you doing? And I was like, hey, don't worry about it. I'm just gonna go on Craigslist, put these up for sale, and sell them. So that's kind of what I did. I sold those on Craigslist, and I sold those on eBay, amongst a bunch of other things. But that was kind of like the best one, and it was going really well up until customs got involved and ruined my hustle. So I legitimately got a letter from the U.S. Customs, and basically they just said, hey, do you have permission that you can sell this for Bowflex? And I was like, permission? I paid for this stuff. That's the permission. So long story short, after probably about 4 or 5 shipments, the last shipment was unsuccessful, got seized, and I'm like, crap, I got to do something else. So
if there's a lesson in this, it's that, Goran needed somebody to help him to navigate the legalities of his business ventures.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's kind of the, I never really asked for permission. I was just like, hey, does this make sense to me? And this is why Ryan and I made such great partners, is because he always, threw a wrench in it. I was like, hey, you need paperwork, you need legalities. And I'm like, man, that's just not cool. Let's just do it this way.
Yeah, I know. I was always the brakes. What are your main focuses now across MVK Capital, the logistics business, and Tono? So give us an idea of what a day-to-day looks like for you now.
Okay, so MVK Capital is a company that I formed with my business partners back in 2020, I believe. So we focus on 3 different investment groups. One is obviously real estate and all things real estate. The other is transportation logistics. This is Ryan's favorite business, trucking. Sorry to bring that up. Mm-hmm. And then the third part is basically restaurant and hospitality. So those are the 3 main pillars. Obviously, there are other details, and I can go into those later, but that's kind of what we focus on, what we invest in, and that's my day-to-day. Is really, I just look for opportunities in each one of those sectors to bring back to the group, where obviously we have not just our business partners, but also employees that do a bunch of other stuff that I'm not good at.
Wonderful. So deal hunting, got it. So now that you've been in multiple partnerships, what are some of the big lessons you've learned, like both good and bad? And are there things you think that people shouldn't overlook before they go into a partnership?
On paper, if Kyle was like, hey, you and Ryan should just go into business, I probably would have said no, because we're so opposite. But Ryan and I were really friends first, right? So we just hung out. We didn't really think about going into business. We're just like, hey, can we just hang out with each other? And we could, right? Every weekend we would just hang out, play Wii, play football, whatever. And I realized at that moment, I'm like, man, I've been missing something so crucial, because here I am just doing things willy-nilly, gunslinging it. I need a counterweight, otherwise I'm gonna be off balance. So a lot of times people tend to look for people that are like them. But to me, and from my experience, that's actually like the wrong way of doing it. You just have to have the right goal or the same goal, and pick business partners, or multiple, or just one, who can be a complement to a skill set that you lack in. So I think that's probably my number one thing, is really just to have a partner or multiple business partners that can cover your blind spots, whatever those are.
I like that. Yeah, cover for your weaknesses. Don't get somebody just like you. Ash, wouldn't you say that's right? All right, so how did you break into the restaurant industry? It's a lot different from like the other things that you had done at that point. So, let's be real. When I first met you, you're thinking about buying a Subway or Emilio's or some shit. And I talked you out of it because
100%.
Because at this time I had been, previously I had been a business broker. We used to see people buy these Subway franchises.
And I was like, let's buy it.
$250,000, $1 million, and then a year later they're selling for 10 cents on the dollar. So what made you crazy enough to want to go into a hyper-competitive industry, the food restaurant industry?
Good question. So he is right. When him and I used to hang out and have some business together, we didn't really go all in. We thought about going to restaurant space, and his dad, who's a business broker, he was just like, don't do it. And then Ryan, when he was a business broker, it was just like, hey, don't do it, because I'm seeing these financials and all these people are struggling. But in the back of my head, I'm like, well, how can that be? There's so many restaurants that are still in business. How are they making it work? So it was always kind of in the back of my head. But one thing that I didn't really have is just any experience in the restaurant game. I never really worked at a fast food restaurant. I don't know how to do it in the restaurant. I still don't, right? I don't know how to make a proper pizza or a cheesesteak. I mean, I can manage, but it's not my skill set. So really, I like to be in that space. It intrigued me, and it was something that I kind of pinned for later. And just by, I guess, circumstance, I met my business partner back in 2007. His name is Antonio. When I used to work at T-Mobile in the IDS Center, and I would always go in the Skyways, and I would see this pizzeria, and then I would see this Italian guy, his dad, at the cash register, always hustling me to pay in cash, right? For obvious reasons. So I was like, man, this pizza is so good. I want to get in business. He was like, you're not part of the family. I'm like, geez, this is like the Italian mob. So then I kind of befriended Antonio, and I was like, hey, man, let's hang out. And he basically was like, okay, let's do it. So I just showed up at his house. That is a true story. And I was like, hey, let's just play some video games and, get to talking. And ever since then, I tried to get in business with him because I knew what was really important is to have the heritage. What he had is what I never could have, because I didn't have the know-how or the history on how to make that product. So again, I just kind of pinned that for the right moment. And that right moment was in 2019, where a lot of things came to a head. The eventual sale of my portion of ESM, aka Fuse, and the trucking company debacle, and then also opening up first restaurant, because Antonio and I at this time, we moved into the same condo building, same floor, just separate units, and he was just like, hey, do you want to start a pizzeria? And I'm like, yes. And then
I'd like to add some important context. So Goran is the biggest pizza eater of anybody that I know.
I am.
He could literally support the restaurant on his own. What he doesn't
today.
tell you is his very first pizza restaurant was like a block from his house.
Yes.
And he ate it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Fucking margarita pizzas. I don't know how you did it. Yes. So
pizza is life.
Big
in
pizza
case you
guy
guys
right
didn't
here.
know.
Yeah,
that's what keeps you
for him,
strong and healthy.
He's downplaying his pizza passion.
Well, anyway, so in 2019, me and Antonio and his business partner, Shaz, who's now the CEO, he's also a 40 under 40.
Like entrepreneur.
Yeah, whatever, right.
Award.
So that's, again, there's a whole team to make this successful, right? My contribution was like, hey, I want to get into this, not to make one restaurant, but to make 100 restaurants. And like, I don't want to do the small, I want to go big. If you're on board, let's do it. We'll figure out a way. And then that's really how it started.
I'd like to add a little context here too. His friend Antonio that he's mentioning started his first restaurant on his own, and he won an award for the best sandwich in Minneapolis and the best pizza in Minneapolis in his very first year in business. And you smelled opportunity to help him to scale, and you helped him to change and rebrand and create the whole thing in 12 restaurants later. So
yeah, so he started. So he had his father's businesses called Andrea Pizza, but then him and his business partner and brother, Frank, started Frank from Philly and Andrea Pizza, which is now called F&A, or Frank and Andrea in Dinkytown. So at the U of M campus, that's pretty much like the cornerstone of that. U of M campus is going there for pies. And yeah, when he opened it, it wasn't smooth sailing in the beginning, obviously, but they did their thing, and I always thought the product was great, and that was the opportunity that I smelled and tasted at the time. I wanted to be a part of it, but I was never, pushing. I wasn't saying, "Hey, let's do it." I really wanted to just create an environment where he and his business partner would see the value in me entering the business and what we could accomplish. And really, the takeaway or the value is, they had Frank and Andrea one business for 3 or 4 years. They didn't have prospects for a second one. And I just told them, I was like, hey, what I'm going to do is where we're at right now. We're going to go through, 12 to 15 restaurants this year. So that was the value add, like I said, for me. They do bulk of the other day-to-day heavy lifting, but yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, so let's open it up to the group here. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask of Goran? Maybe about, right? Ken?
Ken?
Well, first of all, that's a cool story. I can't imagine living in a war zone.
Yep. Thank you.
I'm a little jealous. Like, I'd love to say I have a capital company because it just sounds like you're sitting around like stacks of money everywhere.
So yeah,
It's like Scrooge McDuck in the.
I don't know what capital is, right?
That's a fair point, fair question, and
Sounds cool.
yeah. So I've always wanted to kind of, be a deal maker. I want to really to be a good middleman. I still consider myself a really good middleman. And MBK is really an investment vehicle. As far as real estate, for example. So when we buy a retail center, we do that under a syndication, and MBK is a general partner that runs that syndication. So I would set up all of those items, the PPM, most of the attorney docs. We obviously work with an attorney to put all that together. But really, it's a vehicle for the said investments. And in our case, it's really just 3 groups. The retail centers or the real estate that we buy, and the wholesaling that we do through Lively, and then the restaurants. So we provide a capital structure that does involve debt when it comes to restaurants, and then also transportation and logistics. Transportation and logistics is really simple, right? We own, run, and operate companies, or trucking companies that haul refrigerated and dry freight. And then those businesses have real estate. A lot of times it's really just big warehouses where you transfer goods. So there's, coincidentally, which is why, I guess we're all here, real estate really just touches everything. And that's why I love it. No matter what business you're in, your acumen in real estate is going to be a huge benefit. My acumen in real estate has helped Tono grow to where it's at.
I'd like to speak to that because part of what Goran's done for Tono is he identifies retail strip centers that the restaurant could go into, puts that strip center under contract, and then raises capital to buy that strip center based on the increased value of the asset with his lease coming into play. So, I mean, it's very smart, it's very strategic, it's value add commercial real estate investing in a nutshell.
So a lot of other capital companies that I talk to, they're not like we are, right? I'm still doing a lot of things because I'm always watching my money or our money. So nothing is beneath me. Yes, I'll close a $10 million deal, but I'm still going to be tripping if you owe me $500 for unpaid rent if you're Starbucks, right? So that mentality is not about the money, but it's still like my drive of I'm going to show up every single day, which I do. You can find me in my office at Jefferson at 6:30 a.m. Up until this time every single day. So
You said I spend my time looking for opportunities. So can you expand? I mean, what does that look like? You're cold calling people. You're shaking hands.
So being 42 now, obviously I did a lot of heavy lifting. At VSM and with Ryan, we did a whole, huge social media push before that was it, right? So we've gone through many events like this, a lot of networking to just get the Rolodex of people and contacts that are necessary to close on these deals. And the best thing you can do, and the best thing that I can do, even right now, it's like, hey, if you have a deal that is requiring capital, aka money, please give me a call and I'll get you paid, right? So I said this, maybe not verbatim, but a lot of times over the past, call it 25 years, right? Just making sure that everyone knows what I do and what my capabilities or my company's capabilities are. So yes.
To put it succinctly, he's like the guy who says, if you've got something, bring it to me. I'll give you a cash offer. And he's buying everything from apartments to houses to retail strip centers. Like, there's an offer for everything. He'll come up with the capital and make it work. And so,
That's pretty accurate.
You built that all on relationships too. There's no marketing. There's no.
100%.
It's all just brokerage relationships and just being a man of your word and carrying out what you say you're going to do, right?
Yep, it's all relationships and connecting with people. Like I said, it's, if you really think about it, there's so many hours in a day, and I think there are a lot of hours in a day. You can fill it with a whole bunch of time being busy or being productive, or not being busy or being productive, right? So to me, there's not a day that goes by that, I have two huge 49-inch screens in front of me stacked on top of each other. And those screens are 100% populated with pretty much like eyes on the entire operation, right? So if you call me and say, hey, there's an issue at this store, well, I'll see it. If there's a LOI that I need to send out, I'll personally send that LOI and then communicate with the broker, right? So it's just kind of, it can be overwhelming, and obviously the choices that I make influence my life.
Yeah.
So it's not for everybody, nor what I say it is, but know that decisions you make are going to be based on the choices, and those choices are going to be tough, right? You're going to miss out on a lot of different things. So.
Any other questions around here, Kyle? Oh.
I heard relationships, acumen, pride, keeping your word. A couple things that come to mind, as well as competence and mindset. But I'm curious, for both of you, if you could boil it down to whether you want to call it characteristics or attributes, can you prioritize one or two that are important to you individually or collectively that you would like to share with this group about?
That reminds me, I owed Isaiah a response to his Facebook thing. I started shooting it the other day, and then Malachi interrupted me.
What would be important for this group to take with them as a leader?
I think you need to be resourceful. I think if you're waiting for somebody to give you the answers or to show you how to do it, you're going to get passed up. If you want to be in business, you need to be able to create your own answers. You need to be able to make your own decisions. You need to be able to figure shit out, not be afraid. And then when it comes to being in partnerships, which is how I do everything, you need to be trustworthy. You need to give trust. You need to, be trustworthy yourself, right? So those are the cornerstones of speed in business, and in my opinion.
The only thing that I'm going to just backtrack, right? So I came to the United States when I was 11. I didn't know English. I was just dropped into a school with, obviously my peers. And I had to learn to communicate, or, I could have just not said anything, right? So one thing that I did do is I just showed up every single day, right? It was hard to show up when I couldn't understand somebody, right? It was hard so it's just like a bunch of cultural things, right? But I just made a commitment to myself, and obviously my parents were like, hey, every day you just got to show up. So I kind of carry that trend into everything. I wasn't, and I still don't consider myself like some high IQ person or super.
I don't consider you high IQ either.
Right, so I gave that to him as in the little alley-oop right there. But really, I just made a commitment to myself. Like, you know what? I'm just going to be like a dumb dog, and I'm just going to show up, ask a bunch of questions, and that really has been like my number one method to the business success.
So I imagine you in front of these 49-inch screens, and I just have to imagine you had to learn something about systems.
Yeah.
He looks like a weird day trader, if you can picture that.
I do day trade as well in the morning, just so you know. So yes, I do that too.
But how do you have to intentionally learn this stuff?
Well, so if you go on Amazon, you type in my name, you'll see that I'm a published author, right? And I did that many, many moons ago when there was no AI. I had to put things down. My sister would edit it for English. And I was like, how do I publish a book on Amazon, right? So luckily the internet was just available, and there's nothing that that you couldn't really ask it. So that's what I did. I wasn't afraid to just ask the internet or ask other peers or mentors just how to do stuff, right? So those systems and the processes, if a mentor said, hey, go read a book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do that. I shut up and I read the book. Or do this, and this will be the
Use
result.
traction, use EOS.
Right. Yeah, we use that within our companies now. But I think I took it upon myself, again, to show up, but also to get educated. And to me, if you have access to the internet, which I think everybody does, you have a phone, there's really nothing that you can't put together. If I ask you to build a bridge, you can figure it out, right? You're not actually physically going to put all those materials together and then make that bridge, but you'll be able to put together a roadmap on how you can get that job done. And really, that's how I look at it, anything that I don't know how to do.
Sounds like you're describing self-discipline and resourcefulness as well. So
Yes, I am.
All right. Any other questions around the room?
Right here.
Two. You need a location in Brooklyn Park?
Do I need a location in Brooklyn Park for Tono? Maybe, potentially. I would love it if you email it to me and I'll take a look at it.
Are you open to another pizza brand?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have a couple pizza brands now. So Tono plus Frank and Andrea, that's also going to be opening up in Madison campus. And then we're going to be opening Prince Pizza or Coal Fire Pizza in St. Paul. So I know there's a pizza, but we're open to anything and everything.
Interesting question. All right. Anyone else have
Well, that's
questions?
what I like. If you got
Anyone
some
have
deals,
questions
let me
for
know.
Goran? Okay. Johnny?
What's your, I'd be curious on are you just kind of, if a deal comes across your plate and you're like, I want to be involved on this one, as opposed to are there deals you're like, I'm just the connector.
Goran never saw a deal he didn't like.
That's right,
So-
Ryan, and I anticipated him saying this. So to me, that's a positive, right? And he even said it, I didn't have to say it. So if he says that, you guys are like, wow, this guy's just gonna, yes, I take all the phone calls, like anyone calls me, I'll answer it, emails, I'm present and I'm available for all deals. And that's pretty much some of the best deals that I've gotten have been because I just picked up the phone on a Friday at 5 o'clock or on the weekend, or I answer an email. So no, if you have a jet that you want to buy or
Sell, yeah.
resell,
Yeah.
whatever, give me a call. We can make that happen.
I think you're speaking of deals are created, they're not found. Like there isn't a place out there to find stuff, right? I mean, some don't work out, obviously, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Great
You're solving a problem for something.
yeah, you're always solving a problem, I think. It doesn't matter if, in the real estate game, we really focus on keeping retail centers, meaning that everything that we have in our long-term portfolio is really a retail center slash strip center. Everything else that comes through, and we have, multiple apartment buildings, pieces of land,
Homes, of course.
homes, of course, industrial stuff. We've transacted. We've been a part of it. I know because I get phone calls from the assessors, and they're like, hey, matter of fact, I probably have one on my phone. Somebody called me and was like, hey, you bought this 242 unit and then you sold it the next day. Can you give me more information on that? And I'm like, well, yeah, there's a lot more to it. But usually, really, it's anything and everything. If there's a deal to be had, most of the time, my team will create the value proposition, and MVK Capital will be the capital that would front the said dollars. The nice thing, at this stage in my career, typically with all of my LOIs, my letters of intent on purchasing something, comes with a 2-page sheet, a stat sheet about the things that we've done, who the people were, the dollar amounts. So if you get an email and you get an offer from me and you're listing something for $2 million and I'm offering $1 million in cash with $100K non-refundable earnest money, close in 2 weeks, and then I give you a stat sheet, it's going to be pretty legit. And most people want to close or go with somebody that can provide surety of that said closing. So that's one thing that
I have a question for you now.
Yeah.
So I asked Corey Wright this, and so I'm going to put Goran on the spot. He doesn't know.
I know Corey Wright, by the way.
this
We've done
question's-
deals together.
This question's going to come out of left field. Hopefully you don't mind answering it. But what's the most amount of money you've made on a single deal? And I know the answer to this, so
You know the answer?
yeah,
I mean, a real estate deal?
yeah, the assignment deal you did on the apartment.
An assignment deal? I don't know, maybe like 500K?
Okay, I thought it was more than that, but still, okay, 500K. That's not bad for an assignment deal. Any other questions around the room here? Okay,
Jeez.
Adam.
What's your favorite pizza at Tono's?
Don Carlo.
Thank you.
Good to know.
It's basically it's pepperoni, red sauce, basil, and ricotta cheese that's applied to the pizza after it comes out of the oven.
Your honey ranch is fire.
What?
The honey ranch is fire.
Oh yeah, the like spicy tono.
Hell
Okay. Yeah, thank you. That's all Antonio, by the way. I just do critiques. He makes it all work. I'm like, no, this works. This doesn't work. I did come up with the name Tono too, by the way.
Pineapple go on pizza.
Yeah, hell yeah, anything goes on a pizza.
He looks disappointed.
No,
Pineapple on pizza. That's like
I can handle it.
Hey,
yeah.
Goran, I got a question for you. So you've been in so many businesses, you got like your tentacles all over the place, right? So I'm assuming that is a very strong operation, and you probably have to deal with a lot of people and stuff like that. I mean, that's probably is that a nightmare, or how do you deal with those?
You know, it can be. You know, I'll be honest with you. Yesterday, and I feel like I'm a straight shooter. So if I don't like you, you'll know that I don't like you. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. So we got an email about a default notice on a building from RCU. Obviously, I'm just saying how it is, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And they're talking about debt service coverage ratio. And I'm like, what are you talking about? All the bills are paid on time. Don't give me this DSR BS. Your analysts are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I wrote a pretty strong-worded email, and the guy was like, hey, because I was like, listen, I just want to divest from your bank. Please, just let me know what the balance is so we can just pay you, and then I'm gonna bash you around town for making me upset. But
Look, you started.
Chris showed up, and we talked it through, and everything is all good. But yeah, Ryan would say, I flew off the handles a few times. I tried to do that, or try to do that less now. But then we've had some interesting moments, right?
I won't say them in front of the crowd here, but if you want to hear Goran's craziest moments, find me after.
Right. I mean, but again, I'm not. The only reason why is because you have to realize, I escaped a war zone, right? And now I have something, and now I perceive like those type of letters or that type of like behavior as a threat. So right away, I'm just like, hey, red alert. Let's talk this through. Before it was a little bit different, but now I really do talk it through. And for the most part, the people that I do business with, we're talking about banks and different brokers. They like to do business with me because I perform. I do what I say I'm gonna do. I don't need to be the nicest person because at the end of the day, it's all about business.
Can I ask another question? Do you just still keep $500,000 in cash and a machine gun under your bed?
No, I don't keep any currency in my house at all.
Okay, good. All right. Any other questions throughout the group here? All right, wonderful. So before I wrap up then, I just want to give you guys a quick heads up about what our next month meeting is. So it's not going to be on the second Tuesday. It's going to be on the Thursday rather. The 3rd. It's going to be on June 19th. We're doing something special. It's going to be a joint event with another real estate investor group headed by a friend of mine named Mike Moe. So we're going to be bringing in a 3-panel speaker to be able to cover a ton of ground. So the first speaker is a guy named Anthony Vicino. He's going to talk about capital raising, partnership structures, especially when things go bad, which he had to deal with recently, and red flags that limited partners should look for when you're looking at a syndication deal.
Oh, that's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, it is. Gus Mueller, who is the owner of True Neighbor, he and his team have done about 200 flips using various exit strategies, and he coaches for Ryan Pineda's Future Flipper All-Stars and Wealthy Investors. And we've also got a short-term rental expert who's going to be talking about ways to make deals work in this market that might not otherwise work. So it's going to be kind of the same format as usual, like we're going to come together. This one's going to be in Coon Rapids at the Marigold Home Inspections office. You guys will get all those details. Yeah, so I hope to see you guys all there. And just a reminder, please try and bring someone new to the group. That's how we continue to grow and add value to all the things that we're doing. So thank you all. And if you guys have any more questions for him, please.
Well, you got the cards for free pizza cards?
I got them over here.
Oh,
They're for new members. Did Anthony give
Well,
them out?
I would just say I was going to throw the free cards.
I'm holding them on. I'm holding
yeah,
on them, but
whatever.
you can give them out though.
No.
We got him. I'm going there after this. Like a cell phone.
Right,
Yes.
I think there should be enough, but whatever. So I brought free pizza cards. Hopefully you guys can cash them in and.
Keep it up for Goran.
All right.
Thank you.
Come find me for good stories on Goran here.
All right. That it?
Yes, that's it. Well,
That's
thank you.
it. All right.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, guys. Yeah.